Hello tutors, it's Gav. Welcome to another one of my videos. This is the second take. I was waffling a bit too much. Got the Sherman winter whitewash on. Didn't go exactly how I anticipated. Gav had planned to have most of the whitewash off and just have the whitewash in the crevices, as I've seen, on some of the wartime photographs. We all know, when you look at these photographs, you can see some that have obviously had them on literally, maybe the whitewash has been applied maybe a few days or a week or so before, and they tend to be they look stark white on the photographs, but I can always guarantee that they're not. If you were coming up against one in real life, it tends to be more that grey white. So you can have them in that. You can have it where you can see the green through the white, where it's slowly going, and then you can get the more or less it's on its last legs, and you can't see hardly any white at all. And that was what I'd planned to do. In Adam Wilder's book, he says he prefers. He says obviously you can use it like a lot of people do. Put your hairspray straight onto the. I was using the hairspray technique straight onto the model. He preferred it through the airbrush and work on little sections. So hairspray, whitewash, clean off what you want, and then move on to another section. Of course, Gav being impatient, you should never be impatient modelling, it always ends up blowing up in your face. I decided, no, I'm going to put it in my airbrush, because I didn't want to. I've only got the one that has a small enough needle to do more exact work, and I didn't want to keep cleaning them out, and putting whitewashing and things like that. So I whitewashed the entire vehicle. Obviously hairsprayed it. I did put it in. He said put the whitewash in areas that you want to clean off the most, thin, keep it less coats, and then a bit thicker in the areas that you want to retain. Well, as you've seen probably by the picture already on the thumbnail, it seemed to retain a lot. I've gone to town on it. I don't actually feel like down about it or anything. It's actually come out quite just by fluke. To me, it's come out actually quite not where I was going to go with it. I've ended up with the mid version, so you can see a lot of green through the white, which we'll see in a moment better. So I'm going with that. I've left the wheels are still in the same condition as when I left them. On a lot of wartime photographs, and yes, I know that I've seen other wartime photographs where they've whitened it out, or it could be compacted snow as well, but a lot of them, the tank crews, haven't bothered whitewashing the underside of the vehicle. Now I've actually got some overspray. Again, Adam did say, mask off the bits you don't want to get this stuff on. Gav was so excited about how it was all turning out. I didn't really think that far ahead again. But I'm not really that fussed about that, because it's going to have a lot of mud and stuff, and it just comes into the weathering. Actually, doesn't look too bad. But I am wondering, there is a real stark contrast obviously between our green wheels and our white, extra white tank now. So what I may have to do is put some form of, I might even just brush paint it on, just in the deep crevices. I don't know yet. I'll wait till I put those on. But yeah, it was one of these things. It could go better, and I'm still. I really can't see that I'm going to get any more off. Now, whether it's you guys have been doing it a lot longer, you'll be able to say whether there wasn't enough hairspray on, whether I did in the end put it on too thick, the whitewash. I just used, by the way, a standard AK off-white colour. I didn't use any of these fancy whitewash paints that they do. Yeah, as I say, it's perfectly acceptable for what it is, which is a whitewash tank. I'm actually liking the whitewash tank, so it's not a massive problem. I just got to decide whether I do keep it green, or just for artistic sake, I do put a bit of white onto the road wheels. I mean, it's going to be a fair bit of crud on them anyway, so you know, we'll decide. I did the tracks finally. Oh my life, those tracks! And I've managed to half bust off one of the guide horns. The guide horns particularly, absolute nightmare. The rest of it isn't too bad. You just plonk them in, a bit like one of the more up-to-date kits. I mean, obviously these were provided me by Greg Riley, the actual tracks. These are Bronco tracks, but the guide horns on them. Ooh, it's taken. I ended up having to do an extra shift. I think I was doing them at about, I don't know, 11:45 the other night, trying to vainly just get them done because I wanted to move on. So. Also done a figure, only one so far. As I say, no tank crew. Obviously she's buttoned up, but the 3 figures that came with it, the 3 running infantry figures, I will have them on my little base. So I've said a lot without showing you a lot. I've shown you nothing really. So let's go down to the bench and let's look at our tribute to Victor at Vic's Minis. He provided me with a kit ages ago, and it's just taken me this long to get. It's not enthusiasm. It's just, as we all are, you have to wait for the penny to click in the machine in your head to decide. Yep, that's what I'm going to do. I've still got a Pink Panther that's only halfway. I did get as far as sticking rocks on bases and stuff, and she still hasn't had any real form of paint on the base. So, and that's a desert one. So, you know, it has to just click in my head when I want to do stuff. But yeah, we're finally rolling forward literally with this. So join me at the bench and we'll have a look. Right guys, thanks for joining me at the bench. We've got all of the project on the bench at the moment. Right, so let's move our figure out of the way. There's no point moving these out of the way really, is there? Hopefully we'll zoom down. So that's this is our, at a distance, this is our winterized Sherman. We're going to have a closer look in a minute. Now I know what you're saying, Gav, you did all that fancy, you know, put blue tints on and that. Well actually you can actually see the colour variance in the paintwork where I've managed to remove bits where the crew have been walking on. So I'm actually, again, I'm not perturbed by that at all, to be honest with you. I think it's, for me, the whitewash is actually, yeah, I did just want it in the corners and things. Let's get a bit closer, Gav. I wanted to get into the corners. This is where I wanted the whitewash mainly, all in, you know, any rate, you know, bits where the crew hadn't got to and maybe the weather wouldn't have washed it away as much. But I still might have another go at trying to remember. But what I don't want to do is manage to say, I don't know, let's go on the turret here, get more showing through here and then not be able to do much else, and it just looks like I've gone to town there. So at the moment it's I've particularly tried to vary places so it looks a bit more random. But yeah, I actually don't, you know, I've seen enough of these tanks in photographs now to know that there was plenty of these type, as in whitewashed areas. I've put it on the mud guards here where the crew maybe have walked up and down and they're putting stowage on, so, you know, and there wasn't any texture on there, which I think the textures probably held a lot of it, to be honest with you, because something like that cleared off quite easy and I could quite easily strip those back to bare green. But the textured stuff that I've put on has held a lot of it. But I really, pardon me, I really don't mind, to be honest with you. I think that's looking quite good. Even where I've been that was just stupidity. But I don't know, that it's almost as if that's the first underlying grime, if you understand me, come up from the roads or the, you know, the fields, wherever they've been on. So no, I don't actually mind that. I don't think it's gone too bad. Forgive the start. I did those very late last night. Just I'd got a bit of paint left for figures, and I thought, well, I might as well start putting those on. It's got to have a satin overcoat now for the weathering process with some oils. This is wood I believe, and so I've cleared off some where they've been. I mean, there's all going to be full of different jerry cans on the stowage that they've got on, and a lot of this here, there's stowage for the back as well. I haven't done any of the stowage yet, apart from make a bit up. The actual stencil data, very thick carrier film, and I wish now in some respects I'd have somehow cut it off, but I was worried about, you know, wrecking it too much. But you can see even with that, you can see the carrier film really, so I'm going to have to get in there with some weathering and try and cover that up. I've still got to do the tracks and everything, although to be honest with you, I'm quite sure that they would have just slopped paint straight over the top of those as they were chucking it on. I mean, I think they used anything going really, from literally the more professional generated spray gun to rollers and brooms, you know, just putting. So no, as I say, it's one of those things that just, yeah, I wasn't expecting it to be as white as that, but you can see that carrier film there again. But I don't think that's too bad. Now, as I say, I was going for now obviously this has had no weathering whatsoever, so it's going to look more stark. But I was looking for not painting those, but I may just spray over some road grime on them, or even just maybe, I don't know, didn't really want to whitewash them, but I might do them by brush, very gently, just put a brush wash over them in parts. I might do that and then put like a grime look over the top of them, as this has looked quite grimy. So I say that I'm not really that fussed on that, because that actually does look quite grimy. Really, I know it's overspill of whitewash, but it just looks like grime I've come up the roads. I just think, from a bit of stupidity on my point of view, I've managed to save myself just by accident. That makes sense. Come on, Gav, let's get everything out of the way. I will take a photograph at the end of the tank just to see if we can see it any better in the light. Let's just move away a second. Right, now I've done the tracks. Now this one, I don't know if this was the first or second one, to be honest with you. Oh, there we go, we've lost another. I knew this was going to happen. We've lost another guide horn. There's not enough area to stick them on, and I've just, all I've done is spray neat paint straight on, not neat, well, acrylic paint straight onto these, there's not even any primer gone down on them. So I have a feeling by the time they've gone round the actual tank, I might well be losing some more guide horns. We'll just have to see about sticking them, but I mean, I'll stick that one back on in a bit. But I've just sprayed NATO black with a couple of drops of Hull red in it. These are the metal tracks. They are, let's turn around, Gav, I can never remember, is it 41, 51? No, it's T54E1 workable tracks, and they were the metal ones, because you could get them in rubber, but these have got the more longer bars up there. Oh, God. No, can't remember the name of them now, but the bars anyway, the grip. The rubberized versions are a bit more shorter than that. So yeah, this one's gone all bendy for whatever reason. I have no idea why that one's bent more than the other. I mean, that one's quite straight, but I'm hoping that when she goes round, it'll work. So that's that, and then the last thing we've got is got our figures. This one, work in progress, as you can see. My Mara Joe had said, did I do the head separately and arms, and I wasn't sure if he was really asking for, I was taking he meant this scale of figure rather than the War Games figures I paint, but I personally, unless there's a real need to you know, your face is so cluttered. And well, this actually probably could have been a candidate for doing the head separately. As you can see, obviously looking down the garant. But if you're careful, you can usually just do it. As I say, I prefer to keep them all made up because you're not splodging glue on stuff, you're not scratching stuff, and you can get your shadows in the areas that you want them in. Let's take this guy off for a second because all he is stuck together with a bit of putty. I've tried to keep his face really cold. It's not really, we've got so much light on you can't really see, but he's got some cold look to his face, which is handy because now we've got a whitewash tank. It's looking very cold. I've just gone more or less how the guys looked on the box, to be honest with you. I did look at greatcoats. There appeared to be two types, like a more browny type and this more greeny type, and that's what I went with. I've used a bit of black lining just to pull up the webbing, show it a bit better because you know, obviously it's an older plastic figure, and it just needed to have a bit of shadow area put under this the yoke and the straps. I've put a bit of dirt already on the gaiters and around the base of the greatcoat. Well, I think in America it's called the trench coat. Be a bit more. I'm going to do probably a bit of speckling up the greatcoat with some, you know, on a brush and a old toothpick, but not at the moment until I know where I am with the what mud I'm going to be using on the actual base. I've kept the garant quite a warmish colour. You could have put some more black on that and dulled it down. But a lot of garants I'd seen, I mean, yes, I have seen them quite brown as well, but I've also seen them a lot with this more orangey colour, so that's what I went with. The helmet was like a bronze green, and then I've just put some washes of different colours on top to lighten it up slightly. Put an edge of like medium grey around the steel helmet, and then put a pencil around it and then gently just buffed it very slightly. I didn't want an absolute gleaming look. But yeah, that's our first figure. I don't think he looks too bad for quite an old Tamiya figure. I'm not going. There were other packs and things. There wasn't anything. I know I could have gone and looked at reenactors and stuff, but I just thought, no, I'm going to go roughly with what it's showing on the actual box. So he's just got his grenade up there. I need to do a tiny bit of work to that, yeah. And it's going to have a. I don't often varnish my display figures, but as this is going on a base, and I've done a fair bit of putting different colours onto the greatcoat and the mud and that, there's a slight shine to it. So I actually will put a matte coat over just to matte it all down. So yeah, that's our guy there. We've got our running BAR guy. As you can see, I've been putting this putty is your old favourite, the oh my life, can't remember now. Oh god, guys, never get a smashed head because your memory gets destroyed. But anyway, it's putty anyway, and it's got to be cleaned off yet, as you can see. I tried to do a bit. He had such a weird shaped back of his head. I've still got to put a bit more putty on that just to make. I've tried to put a bit of hair look to it. Again, he was just. I've just stuck the basics on him. I would have thought it was a BAR. Again, I can understand this is an old figure, but it would have been nice to have a couple of slung bandoliers on him, which you would have got with a resin figure probably. But the figures came with the tank, and I thought let's use them. I wasn't massively inspired by the crew figures of the tank, which is why she's buttoned up, and obviously it's all empty inside anyway. So But I thought, no, let's put these guys on. What's a bet I'm going to snap this off at some stage. So hopefully he'll turn out nice. I'm not 100% sure with all the gaiters and everything. You know, I thought they might have had those leather anklets on that I've seen in photographs, and a lot of reenactors use for the winter of 44, 45, if that makes sense. So you know, don't hang me over if they're not right for the period. I'm just painting what Tamiya's given me. So there we go. Right, guys, let's move back a bit. So that's our progress. Next time you should see her, I will have had the there'll be a satin varnish going on this afternoon, or well, that'll have to be this afternoon, and then over the next days I've got a lot of commission work to be getting on with, so it'll probably take a back seat for a while, but or for a couple of days anyway, at least 3 days. But we'll get some varnish on, then we'll get some weathering on around the weld beads and different bits and pieces, and obviously the tools have got to be worked on, but not till I've done some other bits and pieces yet. And obviously the figure he'll be cleaned off properly. Get some IPA alcohol just to clean off the overspill of putty and that. And yeah, she should look, rather than just the green and white, you should start seeing some different tones being put into her on the next video. So and yeah, I probably will do something with these. I mean, they're obviously well green compared to our tank here, and I just think artistically it's probably could do with just getting some muck on there and just getting them at least brought into to roughly in line with what the tank looks like, apart from obviously being completely white. Right, guys, thank you very much for stopping by and taking a look. I have finally finished the first part of the commission. They're being varnished at the same stage as tank's going to be. This is why I've got the excuse to varnish the tank this afternoon, because I'm varnishing a load of Napoleonic figures, and then they're going on starting to go on the two bases. The two units are being based over the next few days. So there will be a complete brigade of chasseurs of the guard, appuis de the guard. I've just started painting yesterday the grenadiers. First 10 of the mountain to go, and there'll be four units of those. I've got some 6mm that are finally almost to the stage of, it's a shame they're not ready to be varnished yet, but they're almost ready to be varnished. So I've got a 6mm review coming up end of next week probably. I've got to show some 30-year war Mezzers minis off that I've been commission painting as well. Anything else, Gav? HMS Kent hasn't moved forward since the last video I made, because I've been on my downtime that I do get. I've been obviously pushing the tank forward, but Kent will be getting some love probably this weekend coming. So yeah, it's all go go go. I hope everything's going well with you. I will be doing I keep saying this, I'm going to do a shout out video for the guys that I've obviously been channel buddies that I've been working alongside all these this year, or not working alongside, but you know what I mean, we correspond and stuff. So there'll be a huge shout out to those guys hopefully in the next week or two. So yeah, that's it. Look after yourselves, and hopefully the next time you see the tank will be at least a couple of stages forward.